Hello and welcome to the Generic American Podcast. Today I'm your host, Ryan, and we are joined today with Tyler Doobie of Port City Cornhole. Welcome aboard.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Ryan.
Yeah, dude. Should be a good time. So, podcast, kind of we talk anything about Portland, Maine, the community, small business, any sort of like happenings around the area. So we're stoked to have you on here. One, because you do some work with Argenta already, and honestly, since the beginning, you've been like more or less part of our team. And two, I know that like your kind of focus is like building that community within Portland of like, you know, something you can bring to people's spaces, which is awesome. So could you give just a quick introduction of who you are?
Yeah. So Tyler Doobie, maybe I shouldn't lead with this, but I'm not from Portland originally or Maine originally. I'm from away.
Yeah.
I'm part of the problem. But, I moved up here, lived here for like 3 years now. My wife is from South Portland. She would kill me if anybody thought that she was also from away.
Yep.
But, we moved here, 3 years ago. And, as I'm in my 30s, like you come to a new space and you want to make some new friends. Mm-hmm. And I like to do that through, playing games. Like my friends back home joke that like I drive a little hatchback, and I would always have the back loaded with like yard games. So you got cornhole boards back there.
Yep.
Other various like can jam and stuff, and I would always bring that around. And it's like I've always found it easier to like bond and chat with people over a game. And a cold beer doesn't hurt either. So so when we moved up here, I was looking for, I like to play cornhole a lot, looking for a casual cornhole league, and couldn't really find one that met what I was looking for. We used to play in some brewery leagues back home, and you guys had just opened around the same time, so I think I just like DM'd you on Instagram, was like, hey, can we open up can we start a cornhole league, can we host a cornhole league at your space? And fast forward to right now, and we've got Port City Cornhole. We're like an official outfit. We got some merch.
Yeah.
We hang out here with you guys every Wednesday whenever you'll have us, and it's been awesome.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So before Port City Cornhole, like what did you do for work, and like what do you do now?
Yeah. So this is the Port City Cornhole is kind of my passion project. Mm-hmm. I work a regular 9 to 5. I work for a tech startup. It's pretty boring, so I'll spare you the details. I've never really worked in, I worked at Subway way back in the day. I don't know if we can call that definitely not industry, and certainly not really even maybe not even food service, right? It's pretty simple, making subs.
Yeah,
but
sandwich artist.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Actually, that's the official title. But other than that, I just, I went to school for sociology and have been done some nonprofit work, just some random stuff, but nothing like organizing sports leagues or, the stuff that you guys do, running a small business here in Portland.
Yeah, definitely. And so Port City Cornhole is like less than a year old, right? Like you started that, I guess, this spring?
That's right.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so I think it was like, You all opened right around January, right? January, February?
Yeah, we were in February, exactly.
Okay, cool,
Early
cool.
winter.
Yeah, so the weather started to get nice, and I was like itching to get outside, and shot that DM, and then we had our first league after we worked everything out. We had our first league out on the patio starting in April. Yeah. And man, I did not anticipate the weather being it was still quite cold, really windy. But people kept showing up every week and hanging out and having a good time, and then I think from there we've just kind of kept it rolling.
Yeah. Okay. Can you explain what Port City Cornhole is to someone who doesn't really know what cornhole is, and two, doesn't know like what your part in that is?
Yeah, totally. So cornhole is pretty simple game. A lot of people will play it in their backyard or at cookouts, but it takes 4 people to play. And it's pretty simple about just tossing bags back and forth. It pairs really well with a beer. Yep. Which is kind of why we wanted to work with you all, because the beers are fantastic here. And what I do is just organize a league of sorts. So instead of having, you have a casual get together in the backyard and you play one game, or maybe you're a couple or you're a single, like you just are an individual who wants to play some cornhole, but it takes 4 people to play, right? You can sign up with us. We kind of just it's pretty casual right now, but reach out to us on Instagram. We have a sign up sheet. And once you sign up, we'll get you organized into a league. So I'm the league coordinator, if you will. And we organize the matchups. We keep track of your rankings throughout the season. So you come see us afterwards and say, "Oh, I won this one. Oh, I lost this one." And we keep track of your rankings. And at the end of the season, we have a big championship where we give out cash prizes to folks, and just kind of generally just make sure that everybody's having a good time. And I guess what I'll add to that is it means bringing all the boards and the bags. We have everything that we need to play, except for the space, which is where we partner with folks like you guys to have a space to play. And also I don't brew, so again, I mentioned before, cornhole and beer are a good pair. So you guys keep everybody nice and hydrated while we play here on league night.
Yeah, and I think that's a great combination, to be honest, because I think most breweries in general are kind of looking for more of an audience. Sure. You're always looking for someone else to come in the door, and this works out well because you guys basically bring the event to the space, coordinate everything. We don't take money from you and vice versa. I feel like it's just a mutually beneficial relationship.
Yeah.
And then, you're the people who do cornhole get to drink beer and play cornhole, and it's kind of a win-win for everyone. That's okay. How many different breweries have you done this at so far then?
Yeah, so we have done 3 seasons with you guys. We're in the middle of our fall season, which is going great.
Yeah.
We had a season over at Rising Tide, which was great. And then our current season, we have another location at Orange Bike Brewing, which is the new gluten-free brewery in town. So it's, we kind of are just reaching out. We love to support, to your point, right? It's our business model is, hey, you let us set up in your space. We play nice with others, and we'll bring people to your location to drink beer and hang out for a couple hours on the weeknight of your choosing. So kind of just putting feelers out to different breweries to see who might be interested in doing something like that. And if you have the space, we're more than happy to work with people. I can't do it every night of the week. I think I'd be pretty gassed.
Yeah.
We're finding a sweet spot between 2 or 3 nights a week at different locations.
Yeah. If you could do this 5 days a week, would you?
Oh yeah, 100%.
If you didn't have other responsibilities,
yeah,
I suppose.
Yeah. Hopefully, none of my my boss isn't going to catch this, but yeah. I would love to quit my day job and do this type of work. I just love hanging out with people, and bringing people together is really fun.
Yeah.
And it's way more fun than sitting at my desk job. So if in a whole nother world, maybe I would be a professional cornhole organizer all the time.
Yeah, no, I love that too, because before, I opened Argenta here, I knew cornhole was a game, a yard game people played, breweries normally had it kind of casually outside. But honestly, I never really realized it was there's a pretty big following, and it's a lot of fun. You can kind of get into it with a lower skill level. You don't need to have a ton of experience doing it. So I think it's kind of a great game for that too. Totally. So I know we've had pretty good interest in people doing it, and a good amount of people. What were you expecting when you first started it? So you started in, you said April, that was the first one. What were you expecting? Were you oh, we're gonna have basically a sign up sheet and people a waiting list, or where were you at?
I never thought that we would hit a wait list.
Yeah.
So when I reached out to you initially, I had 1 set of cornhole boards and 1 set of bags.
Yeah.
And I was you know what, I'm just going to throw it out there, and if we get signups, I can go, I knew some folks in town, or, a little bit north of here, that make really nice high quality boards. So I was all right, I'm just going to put feelers out there, and if I need more boards, I will.
Yeah.
And, we kind of knew, we have limitations on the patio space of how much we can make. So we filled right up though. Our first season we had 10 teams, which is really cool. I don't know if we could squeeze any more in. Our fall season with you all that's happening right now, we have 10 teams again. A lot more people wanted to play, but the sweet spot is kind of like no more than 10 for, we run 2 boards out on the patio, as you know.
Yeah.
And a lot of those people are folks that have been with us right from the start. So it's really validating to, like, they're having fun clearly, and they're coming back, and, you know, we're giving them kind of, you know, community of new folks. I don't think we have a couple teams that were like, they knew each other, but I think a lot of people are, you know, meeting each other for the first time, chatting while they're playing the game. And we've seen and we've heard from folks that they're now like hanging out, you know, outside of cornhole night and getting together and hanging out. So we're like, you know, it's really cool to see that community start to build.
Yeah, that's huge. And it's crazy too. Like, we have some people that live like over an hour away too that do this and like come up every week. And we've done like a weekend tournament and they came up for that.
That's right. Yeah.
So I was like, that's like incredible dedication. And not to mention, like, they're clearly looking for something like this.
Right.
Yeah,
and you mentioned like the, you know, easy to pick up and social aspect. So like, it's honestly funny, like, as someone who's been playing the game for a while, I'm not like fantastic. I'm okay. But there are players, I mean, it's on ESPN now.
Yeah.
Like, there are people that never miss. And I've played in a few leagues like that. And like, kudos to those folks. Like, obviously they've really practiced and they're really good, and that's awesome. But if you're not on that level, then it's a little bit of a bummer when you show up and, you know, they kick your butt up and down the boards, right? So that was all I really like. That was all I like wanted to do here, was make a league that has like a healthy respect for the rules. Like we do, you know, we follow the like ACL, American Cornhole League, official rules.
Yeah.
All of our materials meet that standard. So if you ever, you know, want to go to the big time, it's not going to be a big change for you, but it's, you know, you can come and you can learn the game and you can have fun, and you know, there's like no experience required.
Right.
Like, sure, maybe you want to come because you want to improve your game and then you want to graduate to a more serious league. Awesome. Maybe, hopefully, you'll remember us and maybe we can sponsor you.
Yeah.
But other than that, right, it's more about like, you know, the community and having fun first, and then also, you know, playing that game and maybe learning and improving a skill on top of that.
Yeah, no, that's like spot on. What would you say is like the kind of demographic or group of people that, you know, like join something like this?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, you know, I grab their name and their email.
Yeah.
Right, when we sign up, just so I can keep in contact with them throughout. But it's, you know, it seems to be, you know, folks probably in their like mid to late 20s.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, because we're hanging out at a brewery here, we do kind of an 18 plus or 21 plus thing. But yeah, I mean, we've got a good mix of, you know, different folks from, you know, all sorts of different walks of life. And on our tournaments, we've actually had, you know, a larger kind of age group. I think the folks who sign up for the league tend to be, you know, younger folks in between their 20s and 30s.
Yeah.
Because they are like, okay, I want something to do after work that I can, you know, if you're staying out, you know, till 9, finishing up your cornhole game, it's not going to be as bad for you to go to work the next day. But
have a couple beers on a Wednesday. You won't feel like just trash the next morning.
Right.
Not as much.
Yeah, right. I mean, like, as I'm not that old, but I'm feeling older every day, and sometimes I'm like, oh man, okay, it's getting harder to wake up after cornhole night.
Yeah, for real. So did you ever have like any other like business experience before this, like starting your own venture or anything like that?
Not really. This is probably the most official business venture that I've done. Like, you guys were nice enough to invite us to one of your makers markets here on First Friday, because one of the other things that I like to do on the side is make beer can succulents. So, you know, take a cool can and wash it out, make it plant friendly, and then stick a succulent in there and it can decorate your house. I did a couple markets selling those, but I've kind of retired that. I'm only really doing that for friends and family at this point. In favor of, you know, cornhole keeps me pretty busy.
Definitely.
But no, this is my first time on a small business venture for sure.
Yeah. Well, I like that because like both of these concepts, like the succulents and cornhole, are like fairly like low budget to get into, right? So it's, you didn't have to have like tens of thousands of dollars up front to jump into this, but it's something you can like kind of organically grow over time too, which I think is a great way to start something.
Yeah, it's been really fun. Like maybe I don't know if this is a good or a bad thing, but sometimes it's just like, hey, I have an idea and let's try it until it doesn't work. And so far, so at least the cornhole idea is going pretty well. We're learning all the time. Like it's getting darker in the fall now, so we went out and got some extra lights and we rigged them up outside. And you guys are always great about helping out. Let me grab the ladder, jump up there, put the add some extra lighting. So we're learning. We take feedback in, but again, it's like whatever we can do to make people have fun and feel welcome in a casual and friendly environment. Yeah,
no, definitely. I'll pivot a little bit here and talk kind of just about like community in general. So I don't think it's just me that like shares this idea, but I think there is like kind of an overarching like lack of like community feeling. I think for a lot of people in the world, at least like in the US, for like like millennial, Gen Z, and like younger demographics.
Sure.
I totally get that feeling of like people are just like craving like a group to be a part of. It's like you go through high school and you might have your friend group, you go through college and you're like in an organization, everyone in your dorm, whatever, and then like you kind of graduate and you're in like no man's land of like, all right, what do I do? How do I make friends?
Right.
Like what are your feelings on something like that? Like, do you think that's accurate, or do you have a different take on that for just like a community feeling in general?
No, I mean I totally agree with you there. I think just to tie it into cornhole, I used to play in a cornhole league back home, and it was something that I wanted to do because I was craving that something to do, new community. I had like moved. Most of my friends, like my hometown friends, we all went to middle school together and like stayed. We're still super tight. And then there was a period of time where I had moved a little bit farther away from home. Everybody was doing their own different thing. And I was like, hey, I want to do this cornhole league. Do you guys want to do it? And they were all like, not really. And then one of my buddies was like, oh, I have a friend of a friend who, it's funny. He's like, he's pretty much down for anything. So I'll ask him.
Yeah.
And now that's it. That guy's one of my best friends. And like, we started out friends of friends. And then we hung out once a week to play cornhole at a brewery down in Massachusetts. And the rest is history. And like, he came to my wedding. Like, we're still super tight to this day. And I think it all came back to just like wanting that community. And I mean, it really even got like even more exasperated for me during the pandemic, right? I didn't realize how extroverted I was or how important that was to me until it was all taken away for a period of time. And then, coming back out, I'm like, okay, what can I do to, either bring some of that back or build it if there isn't any. So
yeah, exactly. And that's where I think that like fills that gap super well, because it's like, there's like a wait list when you put up a new league, which is like, there's clearly like a group of people that want to do this.
Yeah, no, we need to get you guys some more patio space.
I know, right? Buy some more real estate here. But I mean, that's like great news, because it's like most new ventures, I think, like struggle,
Sure.
So something like this is like clearly fills that gap of people wanting to do something. And like, I think a lot of people, like, you want to be actively doing something as well. It's like, I think people like the competitive nature of it, but at the same time, it's like, all right, you can like have some beers, eat some food,
right?
Whatever. It's nothing too like super serious if you don't want it to be.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, I gotta like just kind of turn it back on you and Argenta too. Like, I think people pick up on the fact that you have that mentality. I mean, it's not like I brought in a bunch of like folks who had never been here before. A lot of these people had been to Argenta and were looking for a reason to come back on a regular basis. And, the other half were, oh, I wanted to check out Argenta. This gives me a reason to. And, then they keep hanging out. So, but I think people can really pick up on it, and myself included. You guys are just awesome partners, spreading the word, sharing us out on Instagram, allowing us the space to even play. Like, having all of that at, a much larger operation than something that I'm doing is really helpful. And then, like you said, I think the partnership ends up being mutually beneficial, which is really cool.
Yeah, exactly. And that's like our whole take. So it's like being a new business where it's like very much you need people to come in the door to buy your product, especially where like the craft beer market is right now. Like, this isn't, 8 years ago where you can just open a brewery and there's just like a line out the door for like practically no good reason. So it's like nowadays you really need to like provide a lot more value to people. So that's where it's like we're very thankful that you approached us about this, because it's like we're looking for these kind of events of just like, you know, like you said, some people have been in here before where like they might be looking for a reason to come back.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what this brings us. And that's just like a lot of the events we do. It's like we find that for like our trivia night, we have a totally different crowd than people who play cornhole, which could be totally different than people who do like the run club. But it's like, it's kind of funny to us that it's like, okay, they all can like find a home here and use the space in totally different ways.
Yeah.
You know, with all like of like the common denominator of like people looking for like a community and looking to like make friends. And I'm sure like for some people it's like this is like maybe the one day a week that they really like go out and like do something, and they're like totally stoked about it, like you know, I don't know, I just love the idea of like kind of this like grassroots, like, you know, very low-key organization trying to like build up more of a community here, which is sweet.
Yeah, I mean we're doing our best. It's, I mean, at this point we've grown, I guess we've doubled in size, right? Like when we started here with you all, we had 10 teams, and now this season in the fall we have 26.
Yeah.
So that's
crazy.
Yeah, I'm stoked on it, man. It's awesome, and I'm super excited for if I can plug our championship for a minute here. But what we like to do at the end of the season is if we can find a big enough space, we take teams from here at Argenta and here at or over at Orange Bike, our other location, and bring them all together. So these are the first time that these teams might have ever played each other. Well, it will be the first time that they've played each other, and they're going to duke it out for you know, cash prizes. And we give out 4 teams will walk away with some cash in their pocket, and then 2 other teams will walk away with some brewery swag, combination of our, you know, various brewery partners. So you guys always hook it up with some sweet brewery swag as well. So yeah, it's really cool. Like that's going to be a bash, and then I feel like we're going to obviously be set up and prepared for it, but then what I'm not going to be prepared for is just like taking a step back and looking around and being like, wow, there are so many people here hanging out for something that was just like less than a year ago was kind of just a dream, you know?
Yeah, just like an idea in your head floating around.
Yeah. So it's wild. I can imagine you have similar experiences when you're down in the tap room and it's like chock block full.
Yeah. Well, when I get a second to breathe, I'll consider that one. But
but
no, it's like
slinging beers the whole time. No time to pause.
Yeah, but no, that is like a cool feeling for sure. And like I kind of had that same feeling like when we first opened the doors for opening weekend, because that was one of those things too where I was like, there's a chance 0 people walk through the doors, like not a single person. Yeah. So it's like, you know, I'm
super nerve-wracking.
Similar idea, and it's like, well, like we'll put up a sign up, we'll see if anyone's interested, and just kind of like there's only so much like marketing you can do, and just like, you know, like hustle, like trying to get the word out there.
Right.
That is kind of like a fun feeling of like the relief almost of like, all right, it worked. Like people don't hate this idea. In fact, people really like it and are coming back like week after week.
Yeah.
And I think the model you guys do is really smart. So like some other places that have cornhole might do like a one-off or like just like have boards out there. So I mean, you guys do, it's a 6-week league or season rather, and people buy into it, right? So
that's right. Yeah. So we will, you know, we lock in the dates with our brewery partners, and you know, then we'll put, you know, mostly through Instagram marketing and stuff, or like advertising rather. We'll open up, and we do flyers around town and stuff too, but we'll put a sign up available, and you can sign up. It's $150 per team. You can sign up as a team of 2 to 4 people. So honestly, at the end of it, that's like what, $37.50 a person. I'm not really a mathlete, but something around there.
Yeah.
And so what that gets you is you know, 6 weeks of fun at your brewery location, plus automatic entry into the championship, which happens on week 7, and then a chance at the prize pot at the end. So we also it also gets you a discount. We like to work with our brewery partners, and if it works for them, like you guys give $1 off beers,
right?
Which is great. Like, I mean, you're getting your $37.50 back pretty quick over the 6 weeks.
Definitely, yeah.
So yeah, I think the organization part is key, because you know, as I mentioned before, you like if you and I wanted to go play a game of cornhole, right? We could go show up at a place with boards, but we need to find 2 other people who are willing to also play with us.
Yeah.
And we take all that guesswork out for folks. Like, as long as you show up with your 2 or 4 teammates or more, we'll handle the rest.
Yeah.
And you get a guaranteed number of games each night. It's we found the sweet spot to be 2 best-of-3 matches.
Okay.
So like if you and I are on a team, we get paired up against another team that night we play them in a best of 3 series.
Yeah.
So if you could either win in 2, or maybe it's really fierce competition and you force a game 3. We love when that happens because everybody's gets real excited. The competition's fierce. It's awesome. And then after you finish that round, you take a break, you can grab a beer, grab some food, hang out, and then we'll call you up later against a different team to play another best of 3. So if you think about it in game, like typical cornhole game is to 21, you get 4 games minimum to 21 and a potential of 6.
Yeah.
Every night of the week.
That's solid. Yeah.
Or every week on league night, I should
say.
say.
Yeah, exactly. No, and that's like a solid amount of playing cornhole. I think that's you'll get your money's worth just the couple hours you're doing it every Wednesday.
You're not going to walk away sore from playing too much.
Yeah.
I joke with some. I have a funny throw. Everybody throws the bag, holds the bags, throws the bags differently.
Yeah.
And I'll make a joke with some of my friends, if I'm, or even at league night, if I jump in for someone and we play some friendly matches afterwards. If we wrap up league night in time, we'll just open the boards until you guys close and let people play. That I'll joke around. Sometimes I get cornhole knee because I like to I don't know. I like how to squat and throw when I toss. So
screw up your ACL.
Yeah,
a little bit.
No kidding. Yeah, the first ACL tear in cornhole history, maybe, but hopefully not.
Right. No, I think it's a good event too because at least where we are, it's you guys are outside, literally right in front of the building on the patio, and we get a ton of people just mentioning oh, that cornhole league pops off every time it's there. So it's people I think really that are walking by really like to see something going on.
Yeah.
So it's it's good look for you guys, good look for us.
Yeah. If I could share a story really quick that is
please.
Really cool. It wasn't last week, but the week prior. So right next to where you all are, there's the the apartment complex behind you. For those, I guess, for listeners who aren't familiar, it's a big apartment condo complex that just is right next door to Argenta here. There was someone just kind of walked out. They had just moved in over there and just kind of walked over and was like, "Hey, what's this?" And I was talking to him, explaining the game, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I just got out of the military. I just moved here. I don't really know anyone." And I was like, "Oh, well, why don't you hang out? We're almost wrapping up. We're gonna play some friendly matches." And we got him on the boards to play a friendly match at the end of the night. And it seems like he might sign up too. So that's really cool. And I hope he does, because then we can introduce him to the great group of people that we have playing with us, and hopefully he can meet some folks in his new town.
Yeah, so, I love that.
Yeah.
And we found too that a lot of the events we have, a lot of new people to Portland join them.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is again makes sense. You're joining, you're moving to a new city, you don't know anyone potentially, and I want to make some friends. I want to at least have some familiar faces.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's throw you in a 6-week cornhole league, and it's okay, at the very least you're gonna have friends for the next 6 weeks,
right.
hanging out, and maybe beyond that too.
Yeah, totally. I've learned. We've got people from all over the place. You mentioned we have one person who drives up all the way from New Hampshire, which that blows my mind.
I love the dedication.
Yes, the dedication, and it's just wow, we've got some reach. But yeah, we've got folks that are new to town. We've got some folks who have been here forever. It's a good mix, which is really cool.
Yeah, no, that's I think that's fantastic. So fall is obviously here. Like you're saying, the sun's gonna be setting at 4 o'clock before we know it.
Not yet.
Yeah, R.I.P. when that happens.
Yep.
But what does this look like for the winter time? Obviously, in theory, you could do this outside year round, but realistically, it's gonna suck in February to be doing cornhole outside.
Totally. Yeah. So we'd love to keep it going through the winter. We're gonna take a little bit of a break just over the holidays because you've got Thanksgiving and Christmas and other other holidays in the season that would I think it would make it difficult for people to make a 6-week commitment with all the traveling that comes with that. So after we conclude the fall league, which is going to wrap up in the middle of October, taking a little break, and we're on the hunt for indoor locations.
Yeah.
We've got a few that have expressed interest, and I just got to make sure that it works. Again, it's we had this conversation, right? Is it going to work for you? Do we have the space? Which we don't like to. I try not to take over a space. I think it's cool for other people who are hanging out at the brewery to still be able to feel like they could. I would feel awful if you had a guy that comes in. He's a regular on Wednesday, and then he doesn't feel comfortable at your location anymore because it's cornhole night on Wednesdays.
Right.
I want to play nice with all of your other patrons and stuff.
Yeah.
So the biggest blocker to that is space.
Yeah, naturally.
and high ceilings. Because,
Yeah, it turns out, yeah.
Yeah, people throw the cornhole bags pretty high, so we need high ceilings as well. So we're putting feelers out to different locations. We've got a couple in the pipeline. So really excited to hopefully announce some of those partnerships coming up for our winter season. We're going to start up in January, I believe.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
So, and then hopefully back here, as soon as the weather gets nice again,
Yeah.
we'd love to be back out on the patio hanging out with you guys.
Yeah, I mean, if it could be, yeah, like when we started last year, it was great, and it was funny too because I think that first like spring league, it was Wednesday night. Every single Wednesday was like just like cold, like almost rainy. We had some like rain cancellations,
Yep.
just like felt like snowing, just like horrible weather, like every single time.
I know. I would be like sitting at home before getting ready for league night, and just like it was just watching the rain forecast or watching the radar.
Yeah.
Like crazy. I was like, every other day is
Totally
beautiful,
fine. Yeah,
except for Wednesday.
Wednesday's just
But-
trash.
Yeah.
Consistently.
Which, like, I mean, you talked about this before about how starting a new venture like this is like pretty scary, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, like did I screw up big time here by starting too early?
Right.
Is any like are people gonna come back?
Yeah.
Like week 1 was cold and windy.
Yeah.
And
It's brutal.
I was like, is anyone gonna show up for week 2? And you know what? People did. They bundled up.
Yep.
They hung out inside and here. You guys kept it warm in the brewery in between games, and we had several of those teams sign up again.
Yeah.
So it was a cool proof of concept. Maybe I should have trusted more in our hardy Mainer friends.
Right, yeah.
If you're living up here, you're kind of familiar with the elements, but. It was a wild ride for that first season. I was very, very concerned that people might not want to come back because of the weather didn't really work in our favor.
Yeah, and it's tough with like an outdoor activity like that too. It's like you literally just like it's not up to you if
Yeah.
it's going to be a like cancellation or something, which
Yeah.
is tough. But I think people understand that too.
Right. Yeah, and we tried the inside board.
Yeah.
But I think everybody can agree that doesn't really work between the the echo inside the tap room here.
Yeah, it
and
can be tough.
Some of the other, it's 27 feet is a lot of space to take up.
It's longer than you think.
Yes.
Yeah.
27 feet plus then the 3 feet on each side for the boards. It's insane.
Yeah, it adds up for sure.
So.
So have you? I mean, obviously this is your first season doing this, but have you considered expanding beyond just cornhole for something like this?
Not really. Well,
Yeah.
I shouldn't say not initially. I have a few friends who are, like, oh, you should do pickleball or whatever. I'm like, that's a little bit too, I want to really nail the cornhole league and make sure that we're doing that right.
Yeah.
But I know like you and I have talked about doing some other events here at the brewery. So, I'll host just about anything. I think, I don't know. Do you want to share some of the stuff we talked about, or do you want to keep it under wraps?
Yeah, no, I mean, we've chatted about doing, hopefully we'll have started up this fall, like a drinking spelling bee event,
Yeah.
which I think should be a fun one, and music bingo should be another one. Talked about doing like a cribbage tournament.
That's right.
Like a pong tournament. There's a
Yeah.
bunch of ideas floating around the old noggin here.
I love them all. Like, again, obviously I love the game of cornhole, but like the core of this is really, getting out there and giving people a reason to come together.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you guys will have me, I'm more than happy to give it a go, and hopefully it goes well. But I'm super stoked to kind of branch out. I'm terrible at cribbage, but I know how to run a tournament, I think.
Yeah.
So,
well, and that's where it's like you've gained great experience
Exactly.
doing cornhole. Like you understand like the operational aspect of like running a tournament
Right.
and just like having like organizing a group of people.
Yeah.
Communicating with them properly, like because a lot of people are really bad at that.
Yeah. I try. I have to give a shout out to my wife here, Emma, because she helps out a ton.
Oh yeah.
She's usually manning the laptop where we have all the matchups going and everything like that. And then I joke I get to run around and play mayor and like, hey, how's it going, guys? You having a good time? Like. We do a raffle every week that we do, so I'm like selling tickets for the raffle and getting people hyped up, making sure they have what they need. So we're a really good partnership. But yeah, I flew solo this week.
Yeah.
And we got it done still. So I think we're really like we've ironed out all the kinks of organizing. And so I mean, to your point, right? You can organize one tournament, maybe you can organize others. It's just a different different type of event.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that skill set of just like, kind of staying organized and putting everything together. Because again, it's like there's people that might like be really good at like the socializing part, playing mayor, like you said, but are just like horrible, like putting together a bracket or, kind of figuring out all the logistics. Because, even if something like appears simple on the outside, there's still like a lot of back end work you do.
Yeah.
Like outside of actually like being here, like how much time do you think you're spending on this a week? Outside of, okay, let's say you're playing for 2 hours, you're setting up for half hour, you're taking down for half hour ish, so it's like 3-ish hours of just like day of.
Sure, yeah. And then I would probably say like 4-ish hours, outside of when you see us here at League Night. So we it's really important to us that your matchups are like you get to play everyone.
Yeah.
So we the organizing software that I use for some strange reason isn't able to take that into consideration.
Oh, interesting.
At least how maybe there's a setting that I'm missing or something. But so we kind of, I load the matchups in there every week and then it tells me who's up and when. But in order to make sure that you and I are on a team, we don't play the same exact team week after week.
Right.
I kind of supplement that on the side. So we're planning all of the matchups to the best of our ability in advance, which takes a little while because you got to look back at all the previous weeks and say, oh, did this person play this? Did this team play this team?
Right.
Whatever. And then, if someone can't make it last minute, then we scramble and change it up a little bit. But doing that logistical stuff and then logging in all the standings and stuff like that. And I guess the last piece is just like, the social media component of it. Like, sharing out, pics and videos to get people excited and get more followers and hopefully get more teams for upcoming seasons.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the marketing aspect is difficult. And I think, again, this like works well because you're sort of like, you can kind of piggyback off of like existing establishments as well that, again, it's a win for them. So if they're able to promote this and bring people in, everyone does better.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, other than the space, I think that's the big thing that we ask from our brewery partners.
Yeah.
Is like we're small but growing. And if you have an existing network, help us reach them. Mm-hmm. And you guys were awesome. I would ask you to be a collaborator on every single post, and you would accept willingly. Like we were, we were like spamming your Instagram for a while with cornhole stuff, and you guys were great about it. And I think that's probably why our first season got 10 teams right off the bat.
Yeah.
So it's having that partnership is huge.
Yeah. No, I love it. Kind of like looking forward. So, again, like first year, you're kind of working into like getting some winter stuff established. Do you see anything changing for like going into next spring, next summer?
Yeah, I mean, we'd like to do more tournaments, like single day tournaments. We did one here, and I think it was fun, and we had some new folks come in, and I think we understand that 6 weeks, signing up for 6 weeks of cornhole is a lot for some folks.
Sure.
Everybody's busy and has a lot going on. So if we can do kind of some one-day tournaments, then it expands people's access to what we have to offer, right? Mm-hmm. So we'd like to do more of those. And, other than that, like it's just about, making sure that the boards stay nice and we keep them, we get more of them if we need them. If we have, if we expand the operation, then we need more cornhole boards. And so that's kind of the stuff we focus on the off season is like getting the materials. I picked up a speaker within the last couple of weeks, so we've been announcing the matchups over the loudspeaker.
That's been good,
stuff. So yeah, I mean, just again, we're learning every day. So I think the recipe that we have is probably not going to change much. I think it's working well. And if you're a league member listening and you feel differently, hit me up. Let me know. We're certainly open to feedback.
Yeah, if you're just pissed, please.
Right. Yeah. Right. Just take it easy on me. I am trying my best.
Yeah.
Sticks and stones or whatever, but words will hurt forever, they say.
Yeah.
Just kidding. But yeah, I know. I think what we have going is great. It's just there's a world in which I'd love to maybe scale it where. This is probably way down the road, but like, why not have one every night of the week at different breweries? If there's demand for it, I just don't know if I can do that every night of the week, which means I got to bring somebody else on who knows the ropes and can organize and that kind of stuff.
And is like the right personality too, because I mean, I'm sure that's a part of like people like hanging out with you and you have that extroverted personality.
So they say.
Yeah. But I mean, that's like such an incredible, like, important piece of it too. Is that? But I would just suppose in that situation, it's just your day job getting in the way.
Yeah. Right. Yeah,
Classic.
Yeah, I know. Right? Thanks, corporate America.
Right.
But what can you do?
Yeah. No, I mean that's like fair ambitions. I mean, I feel like steady growth of just like building the brand. And like, would you be happy if this stayed as kind of like a 2-day-a-week thing for a long time with like occasional other tournaments?
Yeah, I mean, it's the perfect blend of, at that rate, it's kind of like the perfect blend of work and fun. Like, I'm not in this to make money, really. Like, at this point, we're basically, your registration fee, we take, it's $150 a team, right? And we're paying out over $1,000 in this season's prize pool. Yeah. So like, we like to give it back, and then the rest of it goes into like maintaining, for the most part, maintaining the boards and the bags, and like it's crazy, like the cost of some of these materials. It's more than you'd think. So yeah, I would be totally fine with that. And the only drawback is that if there's people who want to play and I can't get them on the boards, that's a bummer to me.
Right. Yeah.
So we'll do whatever we can to make that happen. Like, I hate having to have a wait list and say, oh, sorry, we can't let you play this season because we're out of room. Like, that's a bummer.
Yeah. It's true. It's sort of like,
I'm too tired.
Yeah. Right. It's sort of like kind of like a restaurant running out of food. It's like it's good, but it's like it sucks that like there's enough demand that you can't kind of reach all those people.
Sure. But that's, I mean, the think about it the other way is like someone else can come in and fill that. Like, I know you guys have Run Club and Trivia. Like, we would, if there's cornhole every night of the week, then people don't get to partake in other stuff.
Right.
So we're happy just, we have our little community there, and we'll grow it as much as it wants to grow, but we're not, I'm not going on ESPN, and I'm not, you're not going to see like a cornhole warehouse where we're playing, like there's actually a cornhole bar up in Lewiston that does something very similar to that, which is pretty cool.
Okay, yeah.
That's not going to be us.
Right.
But check out Sliders in Lewiston. They serve sliders, which is my favorite type of burger.
Yep.
And then, a lot of people will slide their cornhole board or slide their bag up the cornhole board. So it works on and we love a little wordplay.
Yeah. No, that's incredible. I love that. Kind of a couple last questions, but why Portland and why Maine? So you said you're from the Boston area, from Massachusetts?
That's right. Yeah.
Originally. So why are you up here?
My wife's from South Portland, and it was pretty clear when we first met that she was moving home. She was working in Boston at the time. I was living in Boston at the time. I'm from like an hour south of Boston, but I was living in the city. And I was like, hey, I like you enough to follow you home. And like, obviously, like you say that, right? It's very like cute or whatever. But like in reality, like I wanted to have somewhere that had like a lively, vibrant community, and it just so happened I got really lucky that she lived right outside Portland, which has much, a lot. It's very similar to Boston. It's just a little bit smaller. Yeah. So there's still a ton going on. You can definitely find something to do during the week. And yeah, we just got super lucky, finding a place here and being able to make it home. So
yeah, because I mean, like Portland's a cool city. Like there's stuff going on year round.
Totally.
And it's still, like you're saying, it has that kind of like, old East Coast city feel because, it's built quite a few hundred years ago, and it's got a lot of like history and traditions and all that going on here, which is a lot of fun. Yeah,
that's right. I guess, probably a more interesting question for you to answer than for me. Like as I'm just a New England guy through and through. Yeah. So, but still, I mean, it's like, a lot of people live in the Boston area, really like staying around there. Yeah. And like maybe you might vacation in Maine, but it's, won't necessarily want to live here. But I'm always interested in how anyone ends up here, because Portland seems to have a lot of like transplants. Yeah. Like people from away who weren't born and raised here. That's right. Which is interesting. I guess like any place you're from, you're kind of wanting to get away from at some point in your life, usually. Well, I mean, Boston, believe it or not, Boston's pretty similar too, because of all like the college, the college area, or people going to school there. I would tell people that I was from Mass when I'd meet them in school or in the city somewhere, and they would be from all over the place. True. Which is pretty cool. Which is probably why, I bet you those folks have the same desire for community. Like there are cornhole leagues in Boston that are doing the same thing that we're trying to do here, which is really cool. Yeah, I mean, it's a good idea.
Yeah, and my last question is there anything like throughout this process that has like surprised you or you've learned from this process that you're like pretty glad that you like went through it and gained this knowledge at all or skill set?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Maybe something you didn't know about yourself.
I don't know. I kind of knew I was an extrovert, right? That's kind of the biggest thing I bring to the table here.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the biggest surprise for me was just like the reception. Like maybe I don't know that maybe that sounds a little corny, but like people really took to it.
Yeah.
Which is cool. Okay. I thought of something. I have an answer. So people seem to love our logo. I don't know if it's making it out on the screen here, but it's a little lobster holding a cornhole bag or tossing a cornhole bag and holding a beer.
It's great.
Right? It kind of just summarizes what we're about. We love hanging out at breweries. We love playing cornhole. And obviously we've got the main lobster on there. So I never did any like graphic design or anything like that before. But you know, designing the logo and designing the flyers, like I lean heavily on, you know, if you're a graphic designer, you might not want to hear this, but like I lean heavily on Canva.
Yeah.
Because I'm not like a good, like I can't draw for anything. But, you know, I've had a lot of fun designing the logo, and like we just launched a merch store and, you know, designing the flyers and stuff and doing the Instagram posts. So like that's something I definitely didn't know about myself, was that first of all, that I enjoyed doing that kind of stuff. Like I never thought I would be doing any sort of social media marketing of any kind. And also like, I don't know, people seem to like the logo. You can maybe I'll get, the trolls will come for me, but I think our logo is pretty good.
Yeah, it's fine. It's very fitting for like what angle you're taking.
Yeah.
You know, we're in Maine. You guys set up at breweries. You know, very relaxed. So
Yeah.
it's like a perfect.
It's not the Argenta logo, but it's still pretty good.
It's great. Yeah, incredible. Well, thank you, Tyler, for chatting today.
Yeah, of course.
It's always just awesome, just like talking to anyone else who's like running anything, because you know, after kind of like doing this process of like opening this place, it's just like you kind of gain a new set of skills, and I think really like a new perspective of like how things work. So it's kind of curious for me to see like pick someone else's mind of like, all right,
Yeah.
like how'd you get this far? Like how'd you figure this one out?
Yeah, I mean, thanks so much for having me. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I never, you know, as we talked about this before, I never thought the Cornhole League would take off the way it has. I never thought I would be on a podcast to
Yeah.
talk about it. So I'm feeling like you guys are making me feel like a real celebrity here.
We did it.
So,
That's the whole goal.
Yeah.
Incredible. Well, looking forward to working with you even more.
Yeah, let's keep it going.
Right on.
All
Thanks,
right.
man.
Sweet deal. Absolutely.
All right.
Finn. How do we do?
Pretty good.
All right.